All right, hello everyone. Well, we've come to that point in the semester where it's time for for us to go ahead and take a look at research and the research paper. So what we're going to be covering in this video is how to conduct your research effectively, how to find the things that you're going to be needing for your research paper. Remember, you need 5 credible, peer-reviewed scholarly sources, and we're going to talk about what that looks like in this video. I'm also going to be talking about the feedback that I'm going to be giving you for Essay 3. Due to the fact that the semester ends on the 31st and I have to turn in grades by the 3rd or 4th of August, it's a very quick turnaround. And so for this third paper, what I'm going to be doing is giving feedback via the rubric alone, so that I can get those papers graded quickly, and so your grades are turned in on time. If, however, you want more feedback, which I think you should, and I'm expecting many of you to ask for, I will be glad to give that feedback to you. It will just be a little bit after the time frame for the request for grades. Okay, so because of that abbreviated semester, it kind of crunches everything together, makes it almost impossible to get all of those papers graded with all the feedback that I would normally give on them in that time frame. So, but that's okay. We can work with it and adapt, like I said. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into that research paper and how, in terms of how to research for this third paper. Remember that you're going to be doing a couple things with this paper. You're going to first be focusing on one specific thing to do with the issue that you bring up in Essay 2. So for example, I'm going to give the example of immigration again. If I were to say that it should be easier, that I believe it should be easier for people to immigrate into this country and earn citizenship, that's a large issue, right? So I want to narrow that focus down a little bit more for something like a research paper. It's okay to be that general if you're just presenting without any research your beliefs on that issue. That's fine. But now that we're implementing research, we need to narrow it, focus it on one specific thing. So I might then take that issue of immigration and talk about asylum seekers and refugees as a focus for that paper. So we're not just talking about all immigrants, we're talking about a specific set of immigrants, asylum seekers and refugees. For that paper. So I would say something like, or I would ask the research question, this is the second part that you're going to be doing. Second thing you're going to do is create a research question, okay? So I might say something like, or use the research question like, should it be easier for refugees and asylum seekers to enter the United States and become American citizens? Okay? That way, your belief then is not driving the research. That's a very important part of the research process, is not starting with a belief and then tacking on things to that belief. That is a classic example of confirmation bias, right? So instead, what we're going to be doing is asking the question, the research question, should it be easier for immigrants and refugees and asylum seekers to enter the United States and become citizens, right? So that we're not using our own belief to drive the research. We're asking the question and letting the data, sort of drive that belief. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Confirmation bias is a real thing. And if you don't believe me, just check out things like Facebook or Twitter. People just have their belief and then they tack things onto it and say, see, I was right. But, you need the data, you need fact to back up what you're saying, not somebody's blog page or opinion. Anybody can find anybody's opinion on things and tack those onto your own beliefs. That's not real research. So anyway, this is a bit long-winded, but I think it's important. So let's go ahead and take a look at, let's say that's my question, right? That we're starting with my question of, should it be easier for asylum seekers and refugees to enter the United States and become citizens, we're going to go to offices and departments up here. Oh, wait, nope. Our campuses? Sorry, this web page is a little different than what I'm used to. So I'm trying to find the library. Oh boy. Maybe all departments? Let's check that out. There it is, library. Okay, we found it. Okay, so you're going to go to all departments, and then it'll pull up a list of departments, and then library. Normally it was on the left-hand side, it was just library, and you can just click on that, but I don't know why they had to change it, but oh well. And then we're going to click on articles and database list. And okay, since you already have your topic, right? Ostensibly, I think most of us have our topic. If you don't, then you can go to opposing viewpoints and kind of, there's a lot of things that you can kind of choose from in that list. But I think most of us have our topic, and I can go over that if you want me to later on, but I think most of us have our topic from the second paper. So I'm just going to go to my favorite database, and I know it's kind of nerdy of me to say that, but it's my favorite database, Academic Search Complete. I think you'll understand why it's my favorite in a second, but you're going to click on that, and it's going to ask you to sign in, and you're going to use your portal login. Don't look at my password. Okay. All right, so you're going to use your portal login to get to the articles and database list. And then you're going to click on a database. They'll ask you to log in. You'll log in. And then you're going to look for your research topic. I'm going to start really broadly, and I'm just going to say immigration, just to show you what's going to happen here. Maybe even immigration in the United States or something like that, right? One thing I want to mention, if it pops up in this drop down here, most likely there's going to be a lot of articles on it, okay? Because it's not going to populate like that if there's nothing on it, right? So if you're searching and you have a search term and nothing's popping up on the drop down for what you're searching, in all likelihood there's not much on that topic, okay? So you might have to change the wording, stuff like that, play around with it to get it right. But let's go ahead and click on immigration in the United States. We'll click search. How many of you want to bet this is going to be a lot? Oh, yep, lots of articles, 25,000. We can go through that, right? Let's read all of them. No. So we're going to have to narrow it down. One way to do that, one very good way to do that, is to just click on scholarly peer-reviewed journals. It's going to probably cut it in half or so. Yeah, a little bit more than half. But there's another way to do this, another good way to do this, and that is to change the publication date. We don't want articles back at 1898 when there really wasn't that much of an immigration policy in the first place, right? So we'll go to 2010, which is probably a really good window, about a decade or so. You don't want your research to be that old. Okay, but we still have 6,688 articles. So we still need to narrow this down. And like I said, my research, I really want it to be on refugees and asylum seekers. So let's go with refugees or asylum seekers. Check that out. All right, we'll go search. Okay, we're narrowing it down even more. We only have 569 articles. All right. And then you can maybe, type in something like citizenship. Things that you're going to be doing in your paper. 49, that's a good number. Anything under 50, I feel like, is a good amount of research to work with. Look at this. Okay, so disparate treatment, a comparison of United States immigration policies towards asylum seekers and refugees from Colombia and Mexico. That sounds pretty interesting to me. So let's go ahead and click on that. Come on. There we go. Okay. First thing you're going to notice is there's an author. Okay. That's a good sign. Okay. Not to say that if the source doesn't have an author that it's not useful. It can be, especially if it's from an organization that you know goes through rigorous testing and scrutiny of their facts. Something like the CDC, for example, awesome, right? There might not be an author connected to it, but you know it's going to be a good source. .govs tend to be good. Again, it depends though, right? But anyway, so this is from the Texas Hispanic Journal of Law and Policy. What we mean by peer-reviewed is that this person, Whitney Drake, had to submit this paper to this publication, and then other experts on that issue had to give it the thumbs up, right? So it's not like anybody can publish to get into this journal. It's peer-reviewed, meaning other experts have gone through this paper with a fine-tooth comb and looked for anything that is not factual, not data-based, not well-researched. Okay, so we know that it's a well-researched paper. We know that it's factual. We can trust it because it went through that peer review process of experts saying, you know, it's a good paper, it's factual, it's data-driven, rather than just opinion, right? Next thing I want to draw your attention to is the abstract. The abstract is the summary of this paper, of this article. And so it saves you time, right? If you read this and you go, that doesn't look like something I want to do, something I want to read, then you've just saved yourself a lot of time reading a 30-page paper or something like that, right? So let's see. This one looks good. I like it. So another thing I like about Academic Search Complete is the citation tool. You click on Cite, and you scroll down. You're going to scroll down to MLA, and it's got it there for you. Okay. Now, when you copy and paste this into your annotated bibliography, you're going to have to change some things, right? Like, it's not going to keep the italics for the law journal. It's not going to keep the italics for EBSCOhost, so you might have to go back in and italicize those. You'll have to double space as well, and when you do that, it might lose this hanging indent, right? You have to readjust that hanging indent. But by and large, I mean, you don't have to start from scratch. I wish I had this in grad school. It would have been a real time saver. But I didn't. Sad. Okay. All right. Also, you can email these articles to yourself. That way you don't lose them, right? Speaking of the annotated bibliography, there are two things that you're going to be doing with that. There are two different paragraphs. One is a summary of the source. So after you do the citation, it's a paragraph that's a summary. Do not use the abstract for that. It should be a summary in your own words. Okay, so if you use the abstract, that's basically plagiarizing, right? So it should be a summary in your own words. That's the first paragraph. The second paragraph is going to explain how this is useful for your argument, how this is useful for your paper. Okay. You'll have to do that for every source that is used from our databases. You won't have to do that. You won't have to do those annotations for authors that we've read, like Plato and Bacon, or T. Bui. You'll have to cite them, but you won't have to do an annotation for them. Okay, just your 5 outside sources. All right. Well, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions about the research for this paper, please let me know. And I'll be doing more things like this. I think the third paper is going to be a little bit more difficult, a little trickier. So I will keep you posted on things that I foresee. For now, I got to get back to grading your second paper. Okay, so I'll see you later. Bye.